Welcome back to another video, and today we will be talking about the on-page SEO checklist that you need to drive more traffic to your website in 2024. Now, as we can see here, we have got an article on FatRank talking about on-page SEO. However, I have went through and created a 50-point checklist that will apply to various styles of websites, whether you are an e-commerce website, whether you are a local business and trying to rank for local keywords, or whether you are an affiliate as well. So we are covering all bases in this video.
Before we get into this video, make certain to check out casualdash.com where you can book me out for a free 15-minute strategy call and I can go over how you can grow your organic traffic for your website.
Without any further ado, let's get in. What I will do is I'll very quickly run through all 50-point checklists and I'll show you how to exactly check for all of these on-page SEO issues as well. Category number one, which is keyword research, we have got 10 points inside it and we start with identifying primary keywords. So this is very basic stuff. This is essentially keyword research and I will show you how I would go about doing this using a tool such as it. So this is just a website that ranks for lawyers in Manchester, and all I'm going to do is essentially go to organic keywords, and very quickly we have got a list of keywords that they rank for. Now, what you would probably ideally want to do if you're just starting out is going after the lower keyword difficulty keywords. So for example, child custody lawyer here, it gets 500 searches and it has 3 keyword difficulty. So anything from 1 to 3, or in some cases 0 to 3, will be a keyword that we essentially want to go after. Step number 2 is long tail keywords, and I'm going to go back to my first example, and what I'm going to do is sort by keyword difficulty lowest to highest. And in the filters here, we can ask certain questions. So for example, how or what, and we're going to click on show results. So as we can see here, how to instruct a solicitor example, how to get past a bad landlord reference, how much does family lawyer make. You have all of these long tail keywords that you can essentially add to your website, and we will have more long tail and blog articles to publish on our website. So step number 4 is search intent matching. Now this is super important, especially going into 2024 and after the helpful content update. We want to make certain that our intent of the page that we're writing the article on is actually matching the intent. So if we take a look here, we have got how to create a website guide. And if we click on results, let's say 1. So as we can see, we have a bullet pointed list step by step showcasing how to essentially create a website. And same goes with this website. So how to build a great website. Step number 1, decide on the purpose of your website. Step number 2, choose a custom domain, etc., etc. Now, if we were to essentially replicate that article, what we would want is a step-by-step article. Now, it can be a little bit more, so you might come in and say, I'm going to write 14 steps or 15 steps, but making certain that we actually match the search intent is super important. So competitor keyword analysis, we actually have touched on this ever so slightly, but I'm going to show you guys a different strategy. Now, let's say our website is slatergordon.co.uk. What we would also want to do is do a content gap down here. And what we want to do here is fill in our competitors. Now, in the competitor gap, you can have lawyers from different towns. So for example, slatergordon.co.uk, they are based in Manchester. I'm going to be using lawyers in London to essentially compare my articles to. The reason why I'm doing that is because lawyers in London have the same laws that they need to oblige by as lawyers in Manchester or in Newcastle. So that's the reason why I'm doing it. I'm just trying to cover the topic in its entirety when it comes to law. So very quickly, we've got 3 of our competitors and we have got a list of articles that they are ranking for and what we aren't also ranking for. So what is an NDA in a relationship? That is pretty important, especially if you're trying to do family law. Now, another thing that you can also do in this step is the keyword difficulty assessment. So what we mean by that is sorting by keyword difficulty and going after any articles that are low in keyword difficulty. So this step here more so goes for local businesses, so local keyword integration. Now, if you are, for example, a law firm in New York, you don't want to just go after law firms in New York. There's all of these other various different areas that we can go after as well. So as we can see here, Lawyers New York, it gets 900 searches a month. and Lawyers Brooklyn, which is very close to New York, gets 300 searches a month. Same with Manhattan, it gets 50 searches a month. So you always need to bear that in mind when you are building out location pages. What we want to be doing is making certain that we are integrating those keywords into our service pages. We might have 3 or 4 different locations, or maybe even 10 different locations that we want to essentially target with our SEO. And it essentially helps drive more clicks and traffic every single month to our website. So the next step is seasonal keywords. Now this sometimes more so applies to e-commerce websites. However, there are definitely newsworthy related stuff that can happen in law firms or, for example, accountancy. There might be new tax laws coming in, so there are certain trends. Now, one tool that you can essentially use for that is Google Trends. Now, if we take a look here, all I've done is searched for ice bath, and as you can see here, it has massively spiked in interest in 2023 and 2024. So, for example, if I was an e-commerce store that sold fitness equipment, I would definitely be looking to try to start selling ice baths as well. That's another way that you can essentially do keyword research. So the last 3 steps in the keyword research is keyword synonyms, LSIs, keyword placement strategy, and also keyword density. So I'm going to do all 3 of these steps in one go. I'll obviously break it down a little bit, but this is our what is a digital landlord page on FatRank, and as you can see here, it has obviously been growing. So what an LSI is it is the secondary keyword that this page should be ranking for. So for example, what is a digital landlord might be the primary keyword that we're trying to go after, but there might be something that might get a little bit less searches that we also want to optimize this page for. And the best way of doing that is essentially placing the keywords actually on the page. So one way of actually optimizing for LSIs is using a tool called Query Hunter. Now, if we actually take a look at it here, we can sort by impressions and from highest to lowest. And as we can see here, Digital Landlord itself gets 19,000 impressions for a 12-month period. And we have what is Digital Landlord Review. Now that gets 4,234 impressions, and we actually haven't mentioned it on the page. Now, again, we can essentially go to no mentions, and we can see which keywords we want to include. Now, if there is a certain keyword that is on this list that gets a lot of searches, but we don't actually have it, we would want to include it on the page. So what I mean by that is, for example, if we didn't have digital landlord on the page, or if we didn't have what is a digital landlord on the page, bearing in mind that gets 7,482 impressions, we would want to include that on the page. And we would also want to include it pretty high up on the page as well, because it's such an important keyword. So this essentially ticks off both of these, and then we go to keyword density. Now, the reason why I've included keyword density on this list is because it is super important that our article isn't just spammed with a load of keywords. If we are including no mention keywords using Query Hunter or using Google Search Console, we want to make the article sound as non-spammy as possible. We don't want to just litter the page with a load of missing keywords. So when you are adding in missing keywords onto the page, make certain that first of all, you obviously aren't just littering the page with a load of spammy keywords. You want to make the article sound as natural as possible. So the second category is our internal linking and our site structure, which again is super important, especially if you have a bigger website or potentially an e-commerce website. So if we take a look at this website here, logical site hierarchy. Now, as we can see here, we actually have a very good hierarchy. We have /vape /CBD e-liquid, and they have got all of their e-liquid products on this category. Now, the reason why this helps Google is because it understands that anything which is in the /vape section here is obviously a vape pen, or it's to do with vapes, whether it's liquid, whether it's to do with the actual vape machine. So it's clear as day for Google when it comes to actually crawling your website. The next step here is breadcrumb navigation. Now, breadcrumbs, again, if you have a big website, it's super important, especially on e-commerce stores. So please implement that if you can. But again, from a crawlability point of view, it understands that this e-liquid is in the CBD category. And again, if you click onto it, it's just a good user experience. And also when Google's crawling the website, it just makes sense from a Google crawler point of view as well. So strategic internal linking. Now, for example, if we take a look at this website here, Vapeaholic.co.uk, I've actually done a case study on this website, and they have got some really good internal links. So on their homepage, they are internally linking to products and also category pages that actually makes them a lot of money. So for example, vape coils, vape accessories, and then if we scroll further down on the page, they have got all of these different internal links. Now, the reason why I'm calling this strategic internal linking is because the homepage of the website is naturally the most linked to page. So if you can strategically internally link to other money pages on your website from your homepage, you're passing more link juice, you're passing more power down to them. So not only that, but if we actually take a look at their category pages as well, they internal link to other category pages as well. So for example, we are on the Nick Salt e-liquid page, but they are also internal linking to their disposable vapes page, and from their disposable vapes page, there's internal linking to various other category pages as well. So that is what's called strategic internal linking. We want to internal link as high up on the page as we can, and also from power pages as well. So such as blogs that have loads of internal links, or your homepage linking to various money pages as well. Anchor text optimization. So what we don't want to be doing on this step is essentially just internally linking with the exact same anchors 100 million times, because Google just doesn't like that. So make certain when you are internally linking, you are being as descriptive as possible and essentially help theme that page for when Google is crawling that page. So linking to high value pages, we actually kind of already spoke about this, but making certain that we are internally linking from blogs with loads of links from your homepage, and also making certain that you're internally linking from one category to the next. That's super important when it comes to internal linking. Avoiding broken links. Now I see this a lot. What you ideally want to do is run a Screaming Frog audit every single month on your website, especially if you are in the growth stage of your website, and making certain that you don't actually have any 404s or double 301s. So you can do that very easily by using a tool called Screaming Frog. So the next step is optimizing URL structure. So making certain that our URL structure is actually SEO optimized is super important as well. Like, these guys do a really good job where they have got vape, they've got disposable vapes in the URL, so it's clear as day what this page is about. Now, there are some websites that sometimes have the date in the actual URL. I personally don't like that, because next year, when it is 2025, all the articles that you have essentially uploaded will be essentially out of date when Google's looking at it from a URL point of view. So just bear that in mind when you are doing actual URL structures. So the use of no follow links. So this is super important again if you have a very big website. So if we take a look at gambling.com, they have actually no followed their affiliate links here. So if we actually click on this, it still actually works. However, it is classed as a no follow. I am using a tool that highlights no follow links. You can get it off the Chrome extension store, and they also have a few links down here. So for example, they are verified on gwpa.org. However, this is a no follow. So anything that is highlighted in the red dots, so if I just scroll up here, as you can see, all of these are no follow links. And the reason why they're doing that is because they don't want to essentially be passing a load of link power through to affiliate links. So just bear that in mind when you are doing any form of no follow links. So the next step is the XML sitemap creation. Yoast and Rank Math pretty much do this automatically nowadays. But if you don't, make certain that you are actually creating your sitemap. All of them essentially create a sitemap for you, and then you can just submit it to your Google Search Console. And essentially this helps Google crawl your website and understand how many pages and what pages you actually have. And one other thing as well is what you can do is create a HTML sitemap and also internally link it from your footer as well. Now, the last step is pagination and also canonical tags. Now, again, this is more so for e-commerce websites, but if you have a big e-commerce store, the last thing you want is, for example, 17 of your pages being indexed that are all in the same subcategory. So what I mean by that is, this is wayfair.com. This is their corner sofas page. Now, actually, if we scroll down, as we can see here, they have got pages 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, one thing that is super important is they have all of their other pages to page number 1. So Google only sees page number 1. However, it crawls all of the pages. So Google can only crawl one of these pages, and the reason why they've done that is because they won't essentially create any content cannibalization issues. This is massive when it comes to e-commerce stores, so try to essentially look into doing this for your website as well. So mobile friendly website and also page speed optimization, these two kind of go hand in hand. Now, one thing that we can do for both of those is go and right click on any single website, click on inspect at the bottom and click on Lighthouse. So what we want to do is click on navigation by default and also check this on mobile because we want to check if it is mobile friendly, and click on analyze page load. So as we can see here, conversion wise, we have actually done the test and it has failed. So we have got a 36 performance, accessibility is 76, best practices is 86, and SEO is 86 as well. Now there are a lot of things that they can essentially do, and they have got, for example, reduced CSS size. They've got a load of images that are not essentially being optimized for SEO, so they can do a lot of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tick off mobile friendly website, page speed optimization, content accessibility, because this test has actually told us if our content is accessible or not, image optimization as well, and also SSL certificates. Now, there are a few different ways that you can also check for SSLs, but this tool will check for SSLs as well for you. So fixing crawl errors, again, we need to use a tool called Screaming Frog for that. You essentially just run your website through that and it will tell you if you do have any crawl issues. Same goes with the 404s on the page optimization. So the next step is using structured data implementation. Now, I highly recommend a website called technicalseo.com. I've just searched Google's schema markup generator, and if we click on this result here, it has got a load of different schema that we can use. So for example, we have person schema, organization schema, local business schema, how-to schema, FAQ, event, etc., etc. So just by going on and essentially using this tool, you can then start implementing some schema onto your website. 404 page optimization. So what this means is you can create custom 404 pages. So instead of people being prompted by a dull 404 page, we can essentially create a custom one, which then might in turn link to other relevant articles. So people won't just bounce off your website. So the next step is to optimize our robots.txt. So if we take a look at conversionwise.com/robots.txt, as we can see here, they have got a very basic robots.txt file. However, if we take a look at the likes of Nike, for example, they have got certain things that they have disallowed. Now, again, I'm not saying that you need a robots.txt file as in depth as these guys. This website is massive, so they have had to disallow a lot of different stuff. However, this is probably really important to have in your robots.txt, making certain that you are actually mentioning where your sitemap is, because when Google crawls your website, the first file that it will check is the robots.txt. So just make certain that you have optimized this page. So the next step in the technical SEO section is the meta tags optimization. Now, for example, what you definitely want to do is make certain that you have got clickbaity page titles that obviously have online slots or your keyword in the actual page title. So for example, Paddy Power here, they do a really good job. They have got their main keyword right at the beginning of their page title, and then they have got, for example, play casino slot games. So make certain that you actually have got your keyword in the actual page title, because that is one thing that Google looks at and actually gives you the most weight on when they are trying to rank your page. This is the progressive optimization category. Now, the very first step is regular content updates. Now, with the rise of AI, a lot of people have plastered content on their website and they haven't been going back in and essentially updating those articles. So if you can imagine the 10 best televisions in January the 12th of 2023 aren't the best televisions in 2024. So making certain that you are going back in and re-optimizing pages, potentially removing certain products, or potentially if you are a law firm, there might have been a certain law that might have changed in the past 5 or 6 months. So going back into certain pages and making certain that they are up to date massively helps. A/B testing of page elements. So two tools that you can definitely use for that are Hotjar and also VWO. Now, Hotjar and also VWO, they essentially record when people are actually on your website and how they interact with certain elements on your website. And it creates a heat map, so you can essentially go in and see whether or not, for example, people like the video at the start of your content, or people like the FAQ section at the start of your content, or potentially more pictures. So making certain that you are using certain tools like that will help. So the next step is user engagement metrics. Now, for example, if we take a look at our average CTR for all of our keywords, we will obviously see some keywords that are definitely lower than others, and we can essentially increase those by potentially adding in missing questions. So for example, what is digital leasing business? We might actually not have that on our page, so the CTR might be a little bit low for that. So just by including it onto the page and making it clear as day as that we are actually speaking about certain questions or speaking about certain keywords and key impressions, we will essentially see an increase in user metrics as well. Conversion rate optimization. So if you are an e-commerce store, this is super important, making certain that your checkout page is essentially easy to flow through. You don't ask a million questions. You can have easier checkout pages. So there are certain websites out there that literally just ask for your card details and then they will ask for your email or your delivery address. So making certain that you're getting the money in and then you are essentially asking the more in-depth questions like the delivery address and stuff. So conversion rate optimization, super important. Make certain that you are obviously doing that, especially if you have an e-commerce store. Content pruning, this is huge after the helpful content update. So again, what you want to be doing for this step is using a tool such as Screaming Frog and making certain that you are going through certain pages and making certain that if you have got pages on your website that have got 0 impressions or 0 clicks, you are either doing something about that. So you could either delete them or you can improve those pages to essentially get more clicks through to that page. So monitoring page performance, again, you can use Google Search Console or Analytics, potentially looking at bounce rates and also looking at CTR rates of the page. Again, two massive factors when it comes to ranking in 2024. Feedback incorporation. Now, a very good tool for this, again, is Hotjar. Now, what you can do if you are an e-commerce store is after somebody has purchased from you, you can have a feedback pop up after somebody has bought from your e-commerce store, and you can ask them certain questions such as, were you almost not about to buy? And if they essentially answer that question, you can then ask them why, and they might say there wasn't enough trust signals. So then you can essentially add more trust signals to your website. Again, Hotjar is a really good tool for that. So is VWO as well. With the rise of EEAT and also helpful content, you are wanting to build more of a brand. And again, brands have their content shared on Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, etc. And very easily you can actually add that onto your website just by having some social sharing buttons on your blog articles. Voice search optimization. So this is super important again with the rise of all the AI tools such as Google Home and Amazon Echo. You want to essentially be making certain that your website is voice search optimized. So one thing you can do is writing more concise articles, which again, Amazon Echo and Google Home can essentially understand. So you will then have a higher chance of actually ranking in Google Home. So local SEO, again, if you have got any citations, making certain that your NAP is up to date. So your name, address, and phone number, that's what NAP stands for. If potentially you have moved office, making certain that the citations that you bought 2 years ago or a year ago have got your new address. That is super important, especially if you have moved offices. So advanced keyword optimization, again, this is more so topical authority, making certain that you have covered the topic in its entirety. So if you are trying to rank for best running shoes, making certain that you have got articles for best running shoes for men, best running shoes for kids, women, best running shoes for flat feet, best running shoes for marathons. That is how you essentially gather topical authority, and that's when Google essentially starts trusting you more so for all of these various different keywords and phrases and starts then ranking you for your primary keyword, which would be best running shoes. Competitive gap analysis. So we've actually mentioned this before when we were doing our initial keyword research stage, but when you are trying to further growth your website, you want to be regularly doing this. Competitive gap analysis is never just a one job thing. You want to be doing this every other month or every 2 or 3 months for your website, because that's when you start essentially getting this topical authority, just by essentially replicating what other articles that your competitors have and they are ranking for that you aren't. So you are essentially adding more articles to your topical authority. So multimedia content optimization, you never just want to be mass producing articles. You want to also be producing videos, TikToks, reels, podcasts potentially, and also being seen everywhere. This is more so a holistic SEO approach. So in-depth content analysis, now this essentially means that you have got the most in-depth article when it comes to ranking for certain keywords. So for example, if I was to try and rank for SEO guide and my competitor comes along with a monster guide, it might be 7,500 words. That guide is probably going to be a little bit better than mine's if mine's is only 3,500 words. So I might want to go back in and re-optimize that article, making certain that my guide is the most in-depth content piece on the actual internet. Topic clusters and also pillar pages. So for example, here, if we take a look at gambling.com, as we can see, they have got a lot of different articles to do with casinos. Now, this would be classed as essentially a pillar page, which essentially has all of the casino reviews, but they also have different topical clusters as well. So slot casinos, high payout casinos, blackjack casinos, roulette casinos. So that is essentially topic clusters and pillar pages. UX and UI optimization. Now, 2 tools that you can actually use for those are obviously Hotjar and VWO, but one thing to bear in mind in the back of your head is nobody wants to just see a massive block of content. So making certain that you are obviously adding in images regularly to your content, breaking up with tables, HTML tables, numbered lists. So that will obviously help with your UX and your UI. So advanced linkable asset creation. So creating articles which are clickbait articles, infographics. These type of articles will gather a lot of clicks, which then you can essentially internally link to your money pages. Featured snippet targeting. Now, again, this goes back to content conciseness. So if you have got a massive article that has got 6,500 words, what you also want to be making certain that you are doing is your featured snippet is actually on point. So if you have a subheading, then you want the answer as concise as possible, which then essentially gets you the most highest chance of actually getting featured snippets. International SEO. Now, if you are going to go down the international SEO route, I highly recommend checking out a tool called WPML. But essentially this tool is built for essentially translating pages and ranking in various other countries like Japan, China, wherever else you're trying to rank for. Experimental and emerging SEO trends. Now, this is probably the most important one. There are obviously different strategies coming into play every single day. SEO isn't just a one size fits all, so this last step is essentially going out and testing things. If you hear something on Twitter, test out. Maybe you want to go and launch a test website where all you do on that website is just test different SEO strategies that people are talking about. So that's been my on-page SEO checklist for 2024. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. And if you want a free 15-minute strategy call with myself, make sure to check out casualdash.com. The link is in the description. Thanks.